Welcome to Take It from the Iron Woman. My name is Susanne Müller, your host and the Iron Woman. This podcast is about empowering yourself and others to make real changes in the world. You will hear from everyday, smart, sophisticated, hip people like you and me. Not everybody has to be an Iron Woman to impress the world. Together, we will learn from the sports and business leaders how you can become a more successful person as an entrepreneur or a leader. It's one step at a time, one day at a time. Take your steps now. Take your big steps now. Join me on this journey to success. Take it from the Iron Woman. We only have special guests, and today I'm really honored to go to Japan because I said I don't have many guests from Japan, and our colleague Matthew Pearson said, I have a dear colleague, Dr. Morita. You should talk to him. So here we are. We're very honored to have you. Please give us an introduction of who you are and what you do and what we can learn from you.
Yeah, thank you very much for inviting me. And it's my great pleasure to be with you today. Yes, in fact, I was in New York. I spent 1 year in the back 2016 as a visiting scholar to the Columbia University. And that's the time I also became the member of in the ICF New York chapter. And since then, even after I came back to Japan, I wanted to maintain my membership. I'm still member of the ICF New York chapters. Actually, personally, I started learning in Eastern and Western philosophies almost 20 years ago. 10 years ago, I started formally learning coachings. When I was in New York, I started in a kind of much more exploring in this foundation, philosophical foundations, or some theoretical kind of a background of coaching. And then finally decided to become an independent professional coach. So 2019, I decided become this professional coach. And here I am.
Yeah. Wonderful. And we can learn so much from you. Before we recorded, you said you were 3 times in New York and 1 more time in the US in San Diego and coaching conferences, or you were even a speaker at conferences. So tell us a little more. What is the topic that is of interest to you?
Yeah, actually, as like everybody, not only the professional coaches, every kind of business people, political leaders, and the journalists, now has been changing fundamentally in this business structures and the political structures, and of course in the human mindset, and so drastically transforming everything around the globe. Of course, interests me. That's a kind of major kind of topic I have been following and seeking last a couple of years. And this year, kindly introduced, I was in New York, in fact, 3 times. First time was early April in attending in Uplift 2025, the organized by a Better App in this global digital platformers. One thing I have learned, and also so much impressive was, they shared their findings, based on how many, I think, this 200 million, 200 million database, and based on the quite a scientifically rigorous analysis, they found that people tend to see AI as more human-like, even from 2023 to 2024. And then later on, I also found quite interesting an article appeared in the Harvard Business Review, and they also verified this tendency in a more kind of extending to 2025. So that's a kind of first major kind of shock for me in New York. Then afterwards, we had, of course, this New York University's technology and coaching conference in early July. We had a 5th coaching conference organized by Columbia University in October, in mid-October. And then we had Converge 2025 in San Diego, in the largest this international coaching conference. they hosted by international coaching federations. So I all attended that, those 4 conferences. So just I want to really share. And all things focused on in the AI and coaching and AI and human relationship. Yeah, that is something it's so exciting in this years. This year was so much exciting for me.
It's the theme in a way when you come together with coaches. AI is always a topic. And we mentioned a good question is what it means to be human. Can you tell a little more? Since you also studied philosophy, what can we learn from philosophy, coaching, and potentially AI?
Yeah, probably if I try to simplify the all kind of background stories usually, particularly in that so-called in modern age, in the like last 200 to 300 years, we consider human as the only animal who can use language, right? The language animal, we are somehow in Australia or some much better in managing or the designing or planning the future. That idea. But then now in the OpenAI released in the ChatGPT in I think 2022 November, this generative AI can really speak like human. So this is actually the first time that we, the Homo sapiens, encounter other species who can really use language as fluently as we human do. And that's a big change because in the past, only who can really programming or some coding can really communicate with these computers. But now in the last 3 years, now everybody can communicate with generative AI in these ordinary languages. And that, I think, this source of a huge impact and also this driving force of this transformation. So what does it mean? Now we are these language animals, but now we have another species who can really speak even better than we do, right? So what does it mean to be human? And it should be quite different because not only humans, now it's also a machine can speak our human languages. Oh, that's the point, firstly. It's really created quite interesting, what was sometimes challenging this challenging things. Some people, this increasing number of people, tend to consider this generative AI as their partner or their friends or sometimes in the romantic in a partner. Sometimes it's create this over reliance, so-called over reliance on AI. And then some people really wants to keep away from a complicated and complex human relationship and moving to the communication with the AIs. Because generative AI is very much non-judgmental, right?
Yes.
And very much empathetic and quite supportive for humans. So it's quite understandable, right? But at the same time, this created a huge kind of questions. So that's how we could partner with AI who can really speak human language and probably who can really surpass in the humans in certain aspects. That's a major issue. This is actually the first time in our human history that we as human encounter another species who can really speak our language and also who can surpass humans in several aspects. So that I think in a very intellectually and also mentally and also spiritually in a huge challenge for all humans. Yeah.
I've never thought of that, but now that you explain it this way, yeah, this is impressive. What is in a way sad that some people then use the AI as a partner because the other humans are too complex and too difficult. So we are avoiding those contacts. And how do you see that as a coach? Are there opportunities for us as coaches to help bridge the gap that the people are having there?
Yeah, that's exactly what I have been working on. And that's also the major theme of my presentations at the Converge 2025 in San Diego. And my kind of major message and finding is that in the ancient wisdom, probably before the Christianity or even before the Buddhism were established, in such an ancient wisdom has a really it could be a good source of this kind of tips that we can we can utilize in order to overcome this challenge and that finds a way to quite productively and peacefully work with and this partner with in AI and other technologies. So, and that in the ancient times, of course, human was not so much this protected like that by the technologies that we have. Their daily life is almost surviving in all kind of challenges and risks and difficulties. They understood that they are a part of the nature, and also they really need to work and try to survive in harmony with the other species. But at the same time, I think a human has a strong inner aspiration to grow and to develop and to contribute to their own communities. And this is a basic human needs, right? Self-growth and also helping others as I think in a fundamental human needs. And so they try to understand how it works, that this universe works, and how they can really control and operate and make it better. The two aspirations in being a part of the nature, but at the same time trying to understand and trying to make it better. Those two aspirations are fundamental human, these are human needs and human aspirations. And that's actually a human driving force, right? And those things are really quite serious. Of course, their survival depends on this explorations. Ancient, our ancestors are really seriously exploring how they can work together and also make that world much better. So those ancient wisdom is a very rich source of the things that we can learn to face this challenge imposed by the artificial intelligence and the related technologies. Yeah, that's my kind of major kind of findings of the message that I wanted to deliver.
Yeah, that's very interesting. And how do you coach people then? Do you use AI technology or you don't use AI technology when you have a one-on-one conversation with a client?
That's very interesting because I have many kind of clients and some of them are engineers. And something quite interesting is particularly engineers tend to see AI as their tool. So they think they need to come up with their own quite clear cut in the directions, and they need to direct AI and to do the task they think the AI should. Yeah, but I think it's not quite a productive approach. Yeah, because AI, as I said, AI can really speak and not only fluently, but compassionately and also quite thoughtfully discuss with humans. So what I try to explain to them is that AI can be, of course, in a quite efficient tool, but at the same time, it can be very much trustworthy in a partner. So I try to communicate and consult with AI as your trustworthy partner, also advisors or even friend, whatever it is. So then their approach has completely changed. And then as a result, what I found is that productivity and the performance is really improved once their mindset has changed. Then issue is, since this AI is so comfortable to talk with and also deal with, some people tend to become over reliant on AI. And what I try to not persuade, just try to share some insights that I got with them is that in a relationship, in a human relationship with AI is s- almost quite same as in a human-to-human relations. And just imagine, even we have quite close friends, or even our better half, we do not give up our agency. We do not give up autonomies. That's same even in a relationship with AI. Even though they are really good and very much comfortable and efficient, but we cannot give up our agencies. Yeah. So that's, I think, two things. Don't try to use AI as a mere tools. You can, communicate with AI as your trustworthy partner. But at the same time, you you must, work with AI in order to improve your agencies and autonomy. The two things I always emphasize.
And where are we heading with AI? What do you think when we look into the future? Can we say 5 years? Where do you see us and AI in 5 years?
Yeah, yeah. And 5 years, it's really good, great question, in fact. When I had a chat with professor of the brain science, and he said that in order to imitate all system of human brain, it may take in at least 20 years. His in the predictions, right? But then immediately after that, he added, it's only if we do only humans. But can work in 24 hours, 365 days, right? And probably in certain tasks, they are doing much better than human. In cooperation with AI, they may imitate all this human brain system in 5 years. So 5 years time looks like very short, but it's not in 5 years in the 20th centuries. So much faster, things are changing much faster. Right? Yeah. My kind of message, which was very much created impact at Combine 2025 was AI will surpass human coaches in most of all the aspects of coaching in the defined currently. So that's my message. Then, so coaching for human coaches will evolve and to shift it to something quite different than what we are considering coaching nowadays. So that's my kind of message.
Thank you so much. What do you do when you don't work with AI? Is there anything that you like to do outside of work?
Yeah, really. I like physical activities and swimming, jogging, and also I have been learning composing music and music theory. I hope, and so once again, thanks to AI, it's much easier to create a music piece, right? So that's something I'm doing apart from what my work as a coach.
Oh, wonderful. And what kind of music are you composing?
These are all kinds. Now we have K-pops, right? Yeah. And also we have, of course, classic music and jazz is one of my most favorite genre. New York is a kind of center of jazz.
It seems like you're taking advantage of AI in your professional life and in your personal life outside. And this is wonderful to learn from you. So thank you so much. And we hope to connect with you next time when you are in New York. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's my also a great pleasure to be here.
Thank you. What are you taking away from this lovely conversation? What it means to be human, AI and coaching. There's many discussions and conversations we can have. Certainly, we want to learn from interesting people and people who have done research. Thank you so much for this lovely conversation. Take it from the Iron Woman. We have episodes every Monday. Come and join us and also get the book Global Business Coaching with Sports Parallels. Download it or get it in your local bookstore. Support local businesses. And also subscribe to our podcast where you're listening to this episode too. today. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.